Okay, so I would like to start this part of the evening off with a land acknowledgement. I'm joining you tonight from my home located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. These are the lands of my ancestors. I am privileged and so grateful to live, work, and learn on Treaty 1 territory and have access to natural resources from treaties across the country, such as water from Treaty 3 and hydroelectricity from Treaty 5. As a Métis person, I have a responsibility to my ancestors and to my community. With every action, I must strive to honor these lands and the people who cared for them before they were taken away. As such, I commit to challenging the injustices that Indigenous people face and to supporting the work and leadership of Indigenous communities. So, as Megan said, we have two wonderful speakers joining us tonight from SEED Winnipeg. We have Millie and Lisa, who have both kindly agreed to speak to us about SEED Winnipeg's asset building and business development programs. Just quickly, a bit about how this is going to work. We'll have one person present at a time for about 20 minutes, followed by a 10-minute Q&A, and then just repeat that process again. So without further delay, I would like to invite Millie to unmute her mic and start us off with her presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Hi. I also love to see the cats that come on the screen. So it's something I look forward to all the sessions. What furry friends do I get to see? All right, thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure to see all the boxes. Very exciting. So I guess by elimination, I'm speaking first, and my colleague Lisa's coming later. So that's good to know. So thank you. I am so excited to share with you asset building programs at SEED, and I'm going to just start by sharing my screen. Here we go. And with the nods and smiles, I hope you can see it. Absolutely great. All right, here we go. So asset building programs, I am Millie from Cedars, the seedling called Millie. And what you see there in the photo is a icebreaker that I use in all of my workshops. I won't do it today. I wish I could, but the conversation of your spirit animal, I've kind of transferred into your money animal. So what's really interesting in our meet and greets during our first session is I asked participants which animal would represent their money management skills. Also, it gives everyone an opportunity to laugh at my drawings because I'm not artistic at all. And so you can see there that middle one is actually supposed to be a bear. I think I'm pretty close. But it does show, the activity shows that it's a very diverse group of people with different levels of money management skills, different experiences, and we all come together to learn from one another. So that is just a nice little icebreaker that I like to share, and I thought I could share with you. And if you ever come to one of my classes, be prepared to draw your animal. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background in the approach of our program delivery. I often am invited quite often to talk about the programs at SEED, but I want to actually give you some of our, strategic planning, but also our approach to delivery and what we believe in terms of sustainable livelihoods. This is the framework we use. It was initiated by Economos with the Winnipeg Foundation, or the Canadian Women's Foundation, where they had followed women for about 5 years in their lifetime, in their journey, and they identified that there were 6 stages that people face in a lifetime. And what they found is from stage 1 to stage 6, it was crisis mode from the left there, indicating that they are just there to survive. They're trying to find ways to cope, to slowly engaging with community, finding supports and building foundations, transitioning to possibly making life changes in different patterns, and to hope to find ways to consolidate and be sustainable for the future. And it's not a linear stage. As you can see, it's a very slinky, circular motion, because we know at any given moment in our lives, we can easily be faced with going back to stage 1 or 2, like a pandemic. For instance. The bottom half of our framework here also shows how we try to support our participants in any stage. So from the left to the right there, you can see that when they're looking for coping strategies, we try as an organization to support them in providing conditions that mean flexibility, understanding, more participant-centered, where we know that if they don't make it in time for a 6 p.m. workshop, I'm sure something is happening and we have to figure out ways to accommodate, and be responsive to their needs. And the hope is that once we make those connections and provide those assets that they need to move forward, then they begin to participate, their capacity increases. And so the asset mapping that comes with our programs then begin with sort of those asset building strategies that I'm going to share with you in our program delivery. Make sense? So I thought that would be hopeful by seeing our framework. And when I'm sharing with you our asset building programs, I want you to reflect on these different stages and go, oh, interesting, because that's exactly how we wanted to respond, is help people move along the Sustainable Livelihoods Framework. All right. And I'm happy to share this PowerPoint to Mackenzie to share with the rest of you. So just a heads up if it helps not to frantically write notes and so forth. So yes, this will be available for Mackenzie to share. Thank you. All right. Access to benefits. Oh, and by the way, I'm seeing some chat sort of activity. Forgive me, I'm not going to pay attention to the chat until after my presentation. So I'm going to hope that, Mackenzie, you can take note of any questions or comments along the way. Thank you. Access to benefits. What is that? Well, we ultimately provide ways of providing identification applications such as birth certificates. Birth certificates is the #1 piece of ID that you need to access anything. And so the good news is SEED Winnipeg will pay or cover the cost of a birth certificate application, either for accessing bank accounts, for either registering your children for school, or ultimately just feeling like you're a human being. We've actually have had a lot of our participants say, I finally feel like an individual. I know where I've come from and I've got ID to prove it. Very heartwarming and life-changing. It's also very difficult to get through a birth certificate application, as you might imagine. There are some, you need to know your history, you need to get some details, and SEED is there to help walk you through that. Tax filing, also something that people wonder, why is that something that SEED offers? Well, really, an individual tax file can cost anywhere from $75 to $200. It can be very costly. And for the demographics that we serve, that is a lot to ask to cover for tax services. So we do it all year round for free. So folks can come to SEED and book an appointment. And even through the COVID restrictions, we have been open to continually file taxes. Along with that is benefit applications. So when you're with us doing your taxes, we do our best to see what benefits you are eligible for that you may not be aware of and could ultimately support or boost your income supports. We also acknowledge that here in our North End community, a lot of the major banks had left and our demographics are seeking services in payday lending, pawn shops, sort of the corner stores that may have a percentage that would come off of their check if they cash check. So we're here to promote a partnership with Assiniboine Credit Union where they offer a free bank account for life at the moment. So if you come to SEED and you're either unbanked, which means you don't have a bank account, or underbanked, where you have an account but extremely expensive services, we would be happy to provide you with a community referral bank account and set you up and help you save. Then we also raise awareness around RESPs. We know how expensive post-secondary education is, any training. And so we raise awareness when it comes to Canada Learning Bonds and Canada Education Savings Grants. And what's funny is access to benefits was actually born out of our work with RESPs. We discovered that folks wanted to open RESPs for their children, but what the barrier they faced was actually having birth certificates in order to open the RESPs, which then brought us back to the birth certificate access to benefit work. So it's interesting how we start off with an idea and a goal to support and then dig deeper that there's actually more barriers in place. And so that's why we added identification to our work. And we will do that for children of all ages. We've also do it nationwide. There is one province though, and I believe it is Alberta. Alberta might be giving us some tricky ways to complete a birth certificate because each province have their own process. So I believe we do all the provinces except Alberta because they require photo ID to be confirmed by someone who lives in Alberta. Match savings programs. People often say this is what made SEED famous. Match savings programs, what are they? Well, I'm going to share with you Savings Circle IDA, which is called Individual Development Account. I'm not in love with that title. I still tell my team at SEED, let's change that, but we don't know the answer to it. So you'll hear me refer to it as IDA. Then we have our inner city home buyers, and something really specific to newcomers and refugees is our immigration loan repayment program, which I'll share with you in the next slide. And very much like the picture here, the idea is to help people save for an asset and help them grow, build their assets. That's why they're called asset building programs. So we start to multiply. First one is Savings Circle. What is Savings Circle? Well, we have participants apply who wish to save up to $250 over 6 months. On average, over the 6-month period, that is $42 a month. So take a moment to think. If you're thinking about whether this would help me or someone I know, do I have the means to save up to $42 a month? And by the way, that's the maximum. You don't have to save up to $42. You save what you can afford. You save what you can budget for. And every dollar you save towards Savings Circle is matched 3 to 1. So if you save the maximum of $250, that's the $750 match from SEED with a total of $1,000. What can you buy with $1,000? Well, pictured here, you can buy a computer or laptop. You can get glasses, health-related supports, even dental work. You can pay your tuition, any school-related supports, furniture, damage deposit, and so on. So basically, we're looking for assets that can help improve your education, your employment, and your health for you and your dependents, okay? Why I highlight or put an asterisk here, the immigration loan repayment program is very similar in terms of the structure of Savings Circle, but it's specific to refugees or newcomers who have what's called a transportation loan. So if you're not aware, refugees, when they come to Canada, are immediately charged a transportation loan up to $10,000, depending on the size of their family. It could be more. And when they come and land and try to just settle and try to figure things out, this loan is basically sent to them by the government saying you need to start paying. And if you don't start paying, they'll start to accrue interest. And if you can imagine, a lot of our participants are very stressed and just the pressure of paying back the government because they're grateful for being given refuge in our country. Often they will give up rent, food, a lot of basic needs to pay back this loan. So we decided to create the Savings Circle program and offer the funds to go towards the immigration loan repayment. Yeah, and that is specific. Right now, we're in partnership with IRCOM, Immigrant Refugee Community of Manitoba, organization in Manitoba. And so right now, it's actually specific to that partner site. SEED is not offering. We decided to give all the spots to IRCOM as they're the ones who are providing supports to refugees. Okay. Excellent. The next one is Individual Development Account. Again, not married to this name. Someone give me a new name. Would love it. This is a longer and higher savings amount. So that's $1,000 over 6 to 12 months. The idea here is you're further down the spectrum. You do have to be a Savings Circle graduate in order to do the IDA. And so the idea is you've done Savings Circle, you've established a savings pattern, you are budgeting, you're managing your money well. Let's continue that momentum. And so here you can save up to $1,000, and it's a 2-to-1 match. Save $1,000, receive $2,000. And that's a total of $3,000. Now, what can you use that money for? It's not as flexible as Saving Circle because it is a larger amount of savings. So this one is specific to a home purchase, starting your own business, which you'll hear from my colleague Lisa later this evening. Education, tuition, RESPs. We also encourage folks to put their savings into a tax-free savings account because we know one guarantee in life is that there will be challenges, unexpected expenses, and so we want to encourage an emergency savings. And so their portion of the $3,000 can be placed into a TFSA. Okay. Next, further down the spectrum, right? So think about this. We've done ID, they've done their taxes, they found extra money. We encourage them to do Saving Circle, and then they do their IDA, finish their employment, and now they're ready to buy their first home. And the inner city home buyers is, check this out. This is new, $10,000 of your savings over 3 years, and it's a 1-to-1 match. Save for $10,000, receive $10,000 in match return. That's a total of $20,000 to help you purchase a home up to the value of $300,000 in designated areas. Now, the best way that I can describe this is if you're someone living in Tuxedo, you may not need this program. We want to prioritize people who are looking for affordable housing. So there is a maximum valued home here, and it's because we want to prioritize folks who would need a little bit of help, extra support in purchasing a home. And so you may have heard of Neighborhoods Alive, but ultimately it's the North End, West End, Wolseley, Point Douglas. We're SEED Winnipeg. We're here to promote community economic development, and statistics show that if folks have homes or stability, then the rest sort of is a domino effect in terms of decreased crime, healthier family settings, and so forth. So that's why we have designated areas for the purchase. But what's new again this year is because of COVID and our ability to do virtual delivery, we are now offering this to outside of Winnipeg perimeters. So feel free to share the word in Brandon, Portage la Prairie, Flin Flon, Dauphin, Selkirk, and Thompson. So all across the province, we are now offering this inner city home buyers program. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty cool. I wish I had some statistics for you. I did recently do a cash out. So a cash out means when they're ready to make a purchase. So they've been with us for 2 years, saving and working hard and getting ready to buy their home. And it's the most exciting time when they come in and say, Millie, I'm ready. I think I'm ready to put an offer in a home. And it's just fantastic to see them do that. And with COVID, they said, well, we can't have you over, but one day we will, and we're going to have a party in their backyard. Yeah. With all these match savings programs, though, there is also a mandatory series of classes that you have to take, and that's called money management training. So we encourage you saving, but we also provide those supports and understanding how to look to your budget, how to create one, how to stick to it, how to manage credit, how to establish credit, how to reach your savings goals, to understand investing vehicles, and so forth. I personally love the needs versus wants discussion because a lot of money management skills comes from behavioral change, some of your experiences growing up. And so it's often a wonderful experience to see participants really open up about their experiences and find that aha moment and go, wow, is that why I feel so stretched before payday? Or why is it that I get my benefits and the next day I'm feeling broke? Like there are these questions that come through, and it's just an opportunity to really self-reflect on making small changes towards money management. So in all the match savings programs, there's up to 8 to 10 classes that you would have to take. I say 8 to 10 because it's different for every match savings program. But here's the great news. You don't have to be in one of our match savings programs to take these classes. You could ultimately contact SEED and say, I just want to take one class and see if it works for me. So we offer these classes during the day, evenings, and weekends. Often you might even find that our classes are offered in different community organizations. My role at SEED is I'm a manager of partnership. And so my goal is to increase capacity with community of practice. So I often get invited to, let me talk about my neighbors. Here on Selkirk, we have the North End Women's Resource Center. Right there, they're neighbors of ours, and they'll say, Millie, we need a workshop on goal setting and problem solving. And so I'll do either an in-person or a virtual presentation for their participants. And we have about just over 100 partners a year delivering these classes. So if you are interested in learning more, I will tell you how at the end of this presentation. One thing that's near and dear to my heart is what we call money stories. So as mentioned, how I said, we deliver these classes individually. It's called standalone, that's our language. So Money Stories was born out of an organization called the Aboriginal Senior Resource Center. And so they're located here right close to us. And they invited us in to do a budgeting workshop for their seniors and elders. And what happened is that the seniors and elders said, this is great information. We really think it's important for Indigenous youth to understand money stories. Money Stories was born. So now we have money management training with an Indigenous youth lens in support of elder storytellers and knowledge keepers. So they co-facilitate our curriculum. And so we started off with after school programs with, you can see the picture at the top there. Those are our Money Stories team and junior facilitators. And what junior facilitators are is we've got youth who take our classes, then they're inspired to train other youth to take this information. So SEED will actually hire about 8 to 10 Indigenous youth a year so that they can share their knowledge and keep it going. So we're actually hiring in September for that role. So spread the word. And these are for folks who have graduated from our Money Stories program. And the most exciting part of it all, honestly, is we just recently translated our material into 3 first languages, Oji Cree, Ojibwe, and Cree. And it's an amazing feeling to see our elders and our first language speakers connect with youth to support the revitalization of the languages. Not only do they get the money management skills, but they also get reconnected to their culture. Then, how do you get connected to our programs? So the asset building programs are available. You can call SEED and go on our website, but that's boring, just kidding. Come to our website, sure. But we've also launched what's called the Community Financial Helpline, which some of you might have heard from my last presentation. The Community Financial Helpline is available toll-free all over Manitoba, available 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Call or text or Facebook Messenger. There are 3 avenues to connect with us. You can call them and say, I met this really energetic, crazy person named Millie Wednesday night or Thursday night, and she talked about some sort of match where I get $750. If you do that, they'll connect you to a coordinator here at SEED, and you can register and apply. Or you can check out our website for ongoing webinars that we deliver weekly. Or if you just need to talk a situation out through text, we're available. Yeah. And so what's really nice to see during the pandemic, one of the most common concerns these days is CERB, the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, and how it impacts people living on low income, and how, unfortunately, folks were not eligible and there has to be a repayment. Anyway, it's been very stressful for our participants and community members where they needed a place where they could remain anonymous and walk things through, and we can give them tips and guidance on how to advocate for themselves and basically work things out. So it's been a great avenue for financial advice and coaching and just accessing ways to connect with people when we were going through quarantine and isolation and so forth. So the good thing is that it was a response to COVID, but we've received additional funding to keep the helpline alive. And I love animals, so in every presentation I have some sort of furry friend. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm happy to address any questions and take any feedback.
Thank you so much, Millie. Yeah, I learned a lot anyways. I can't speak for everyone else, but Yeah, I didn't realize how extensive the programs are at SEED. I think that that's wonderful. We have quite a few questions already in the chat. I've been writing them down as the presentation was going. So one of the first things you talked about was helping folks get a birth certificate, which is really great. And one of the questions we had was, can you help people get a new birth certificate after a name change or a gender change?
Yes, we can. That is part of the service.
Cool. Okay. And then following that question about the birth certificate and the bank accounts, someone was wondering if the Assiniboine Credit Union has an everyone is approved for a bank account policy.
That is a very good question. And to be honest, I can't say yes to that. The reason I'm hesitant to say yes is often what happens, they usually do approve everyone. However, the only exception is if there was any negative activity in the past with the Assiniboine Credit Union. So I can't speak to that, but if there is ever any negative activity, that would be something Assiniboine would have to decide on. But I know that they have a very proactive approach to it, very solution focused. If something happened in the past, they're willing to work things out. And often that's what we see in our match savings programs, where individuals say, oh, I did something, I made a mistake in the past. I don't think ACU will work with me. But often they're willing to make some steps to make it work. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then we had a question about helping folks fill out their taxes. Someone was wondering if there was a way to help people who have no experience at all filing taxes, or people who haven't filed taxes in a very long time.
Absolutely. These are the folks we want to help the most. We welcome everyone with no experience in tax filing. We will walk you through step by step. We do have webinars and workshops about tax filing to understand. I mean, I know how complicated and sort of overwhelming taxes can be, but I can assure you that we can definitely walk you through it, what it all means in terms of benefits and what to claim, what are, non-refundable tax credits, even tuition and payment, that kind of thing. We can walk you through all of that. And if you haven't filed your taxes in years, I mean, we would love to have you to help you, because there might be potentially some great benefits there. And we can go back up to 10 years, as far as 10 years to file taxes.
That's excellent. All right. And then we had two questions about the saving circle. The first was, what are the requirements to join the saving circle? Can students who work in the summer or other part-time type jobs apply for the saving circle?
Love it. I love it. And I knew that was coming up. So I was kind of getting ready to share my my website that I would love to share with you. Here we go. Any requirements. So again, SEED Winnipeg prioritized folks, individuals and families living on lower levels of income. So we do serve folks who are under a certain threshold with income, and I'm going to show you where to find that. So this is our lovely website. You go under programs and you'll find Saving Circle, and the first thing you'll see here is the low income qualification chart. How do we get these numbers? These are the numbers that CRA uses in terms of income cutoffs. And so this is updated every year because cost of living raises every year. So if you're looking at an individual, a single person who earns up to a maximum of $19,820, you can apply for Saving Circle. And that's gross. Okay, that's gross income. If you are, for me, I'm a single mom of 3 boys, but I live with my senior mother. So there's 5 people under the same roof, but there are 2 different households. Why? Because I'm a mother with 3 dependents. So that's 1 separate household. And then my mother is single, senior, that's a separate household. So you want to ask yourself, who do I do my taxes with? That will help you identify your household size. Okay, so a family of 4 cannot make more than $36,830 a year. And what income is calculated? That's everything. When it comes to child tax benefits, your wages, your supports, EI, all income that comes in is part of that equation. Okay. In terms of students, we welcome applications. We accept participants in our match savings programs all year round. Savings Circle has the most spots. So I think we have well over 200 spots that we do every year. Thank you, funders. Nodaway, province of Manitoba. But really, you can try anytime. Our classes are flexible. We usually give daytime, evenings, and weekend options. And I think I mentioned partners, community organizations that we build capacity and do the same programs. So if we can't give you a time that works, we will source that out and go, hey, but look, check this out. Mama Way McGregor is offering it this time, or McDonald Youth Services has it at this time. We will do our best to accommodate your needs so that you could continue with the Saving Circle program. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. And then the second question that we had about the Saving Circle was if people on EIA and EIA disability can participate.
Yes, they can. And no, they will not take back your benefits. So here we go. Here's the arrangement. Participants under EIA or EIA disability can apply. However, there is a restriction here. And it's not that bad, actually. So they've asked that their budget from EIA cannot be used towards savings. Then often participants say, well, Millie, that's all I got. Well, that's when the tax filing comes into play. That's when the benefit screening comes to play. So if you get GST, if you get a tax return, if you get volunteer credits and get $100 a month from EIA, that can go towards the savings program. So even though at some point you feel like, I don't know if I've got the means to be able to contribute, we'll walk you through every scenario to help you. Yeah.
That's great. All right. We have one more question about the Saving Circle. It's a follow-up to the requirements question. Someone was wondering if there's a citizenship requirement to being part of the Saving Circle.
More clarity. Do you mean if you're, let's say, a student visa? Is that what I'm hearing? Or?
Yeah. So let's say an international student or someone who has maybe a permanent resident card.
Yeah, no, we can accept. Yep, as long as they're here for the full 6 months and are able to open a bank account with the Cinnamon Credit Union, because the Cinnamon Credit is the financial institution that creates these special match savings accounts, free of charge, by the way. But no, as long as they're here with appropriate, like able to open a bank account and can stay within the 6 months of savings, you're good to go.
Awesome. I think that's all of the questions. Are there any more questions from the participants or the community members? Feel free to unmute your mic or just share in the chat.
There's Lisa. I stopped sharing and I just saw her square.
I've heard of some people that have tried to get the birth certificates, and something's gone wrong, or I don't know, but they were really having a difficult time getting the actual certificate from you guys. I don't know what the problem was, but they were really having a difficult time.
I would thank you for bringing that up. I do have some news to share about birth certificates. Okay, birth certificates, they have vital statistics are very finicky in terms of what information is on the application. If any point of that application is incorrect or doesn't match records, they will send it back. And so there is some follow-up that is required. Often people say, oh, just fill it out, send it off. But then we have to, at any point, they can come back at us and say, you know what, something's doesn't make sense. So we have to find our participants and try to fill that gap. The other thing that's frustrating is, if you've heard the rumors that birth certificates take at least 8 months to receive, it is true. I don't have an explanation as to why it's taking that long. Right now, newborns, they can be born and registered, but they're not getting their birth certificates for 8 to 10 months. We're working on it. There's a lot of advocacy work and media attention that we're trying to strive and go, why is Manitoba the only province in Canada having an 8 to 10 month delay for birth certificates?
Exactly. Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I wish I had a better answer for you.
No, but at least when people come into our office and they're complaining about it, I can say, are you aware that it takes that long?
Yeah.
So, yeah, because some people have complained that they've waited like, I don't know, 6-7 months and they haven't gotten it. So at least I know why.
Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Luca has his hand up and he gets the final question. So Luca, if you'd like to unmute your mic.
So it was lovely meeting you, Millie, and I really enjoy our conversation. I do have a question. I have a birth certificate, but it's all in Romanian, and I can't like change anything on it because I don't have a professional translator. Even though I'm able to translate it, they won't let me like apply for a driver's license, even though I can't drive just for extra ID. So how would you go about somebody coming in with like documentation that's in a different foreign language?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I can't speak directly to a Romanian birth certificate, but I would be happy, Luca, if you were to connect with me directly, and I would refer you to the manager of the program, and we'll navigate. We'll try to find something to help you out, because I can see how that prevents you from getting a driver's license. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Like kind of holding you back from like a lot of other things too, because of they're requesting a professional translator, but I don't have any Canadian documents like saying my birth in Canadian, right? Like it's all foreign language to everyone. So
for sure. No, Luca, I hope or Mackenzie, please feel free to share my contact information, and we'll continue this conversation. Yeah.
For sure. I lied. Luca doesn't get the last question. Justin does. It's in the chat. Justin wanted to know if there were a lot of people on EIA who use the Saving Circle. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Loud. I would say the majority of our Saving Circle participants are on EIA.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So now I would like to pass it over to Lisa. If you would like to unmute your mic. Thank you so much, Millie.
You're welcome. Have a great evening, everybody.